The calendar skipped a day, and no one noticed but her. It was a small thing at first, the kind of thing you blame on updates. Mara stood in her kitchen at 7:12 a.m., the coffee machine breathing steam into the cool air, and stared at her phone. The date glowed at the top of the screen. Thursday. She was certain yesterday had been Tuesday. She didn't mean vaguely certain. She meant she could account for Tuesday in the granular, dull detail of routine. The grocery receipt folded on the counter, the laundry folded into precise rectangles, the documentary she half-watched before bed. Wednesday should have sat between that memory and this morning like a tile in a mosaic. But it wasn't there. She opened the calendar app. The grid displayed a neat sequence of squares. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. No Wednesday. Her thumb hovered, then swiped back to last month. The days were intact there, obedient and continuous. She swiped forward again. Tuesday bled directly into Thursday as if Wednesday had never existed. The coffee machine clicked off. The refrigerator hummed. The house carried on with its soft, domestic breathing. Mara checked the wall calendar by the pantry door, the paper one she still kept out of habit. She had circled Tuesday with a blue pen, marking trash pickup. The next square read Thursday. She ran her finger across the paper. No torn edge. No indentation where a page had been ripped away. She told herself she was misremembering, that she'd been more tired than she thought, that isolation had begun to warp her sense of time. She worked from home. Days folded together easily. Still, her chest felt tight. She opened her messages. A thread with her sister. The last text from Mara read, "Call you tomorrow." Sent Tuesday night. There was no call log for Wednesday. No outgoing, no incoming. Her sister had replied Thursday morning, "You vanished yesterday, lol. Everything okay?" Vanished. Mara stared at the word until it felt unfamiliar. The microwave clock blinked 12 o'clock. She turned toward it slowly. The oven display read 7:18. The wall clock above the sink ticked forward with steady precision. 7:19. The microwave blinked 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. Power outage, she thought. But the stove's clock had kept time. The router lights were solid. The bedside digital clock, she hurried down the hallway to check, glowed the correct hour. Only the microwave had reset. She pressed the buttons to set it. The numbers resisted, flickering, then accepting the time reluctantly. When she stepped back, it changed to 12 o'clock again. The house felt slightly cooler than it should have. Not cold, just as if the heat had dipped for a few hours and only recently recovered. Mara returned to the kitchen and tried to reconstruct Wednesday. She opened her laptop. The desktop wallpaper displayed a scenic photograph she didn't recognize. An empty shoreline beneath a white sky. She was certain she had set it to a forest months ago. Her files showed activity at 3:17 p.m. Wednesday. Several documents opened, closed. She clicked one. It was a blank note titled, "Don't let it back in." Her breath stalled. The body of the note contained a single line. "It doesn't like being ignored." The timestamp read 3:19 p.m. Mara searched her memory for that hour. She pictured herself at her desk, sunlight angling across the keyboard. She imagined the refrigerator cycling on, the faint traffic below her apartment windows. But there was nothing solid there. No anchor. She checked the security app connected to the small camera in her living room, something she'd installed after moving in alone. The recording history showed a full day of footage for Tuesday. Then Thursday. Wednesday was a gray bar labeled, "No data available." Her scalp prickled. She walked into the living room and stood in the center of it. The couch sat slightly angled. She always aligned it with the rug's edge. Now one leg dipped just beyond the border. The lamp by the window was unplugged. She never unplugged it. The air smelled faintly metallic, like dust heated too quickly. Mara's gaze drifted to the hallway mirror. A thin scratch ran vertically across its surface, near shoulder height. She stepped closer. It wasn't on the glass. It was on the wall beside it. For shallow lines, parallel. Not deep enough to be vandalism. not accidental enough to ignore. She lifted her hand and pressed her fingers against them. They matched the width of her own hand, but longer, as if someone had dragged their nails downward slowly. A pulse began behind her eyes. "You're overreacting," she whispered to the empty apartment. The word empty seemed to echo wrong. Her phone buzzed. She flinched so hard she nearly dropped it. A notification. Screen time weekly report. She opened it. Wednesday's usage. 19 hours, 42 minutes. Her stomach turned. App breakdown scrolled below. Camera, 6 hours. Voice memos, 2 hours. Notes, 1 hour. Safari, 4 hours. Messages, 3 hours. She had no memory of touching her phone beyond Tuesday night. Hands trembling, she opened the Photos app. Wednesday's album was full. Not of landscapes or selfies. Of her apartment. The hallway. The ceiling corners. The dark space beneath the bed. The inside of the closet. Dozens of images taken at odd angles, some blurred as if mid-motion. And then one of her front door. Taken from inside. The deadbolt visible. The chain latch secured. In the center of the frame, scratched faintly into the paint at eye level, were 4 lines. The same pattern as the wall. She dropped onto the couch, which shifted slightly beneath her weight, as if it had already been molded differently. Her throat felt dry. She opened voice memos. 2 recordings dated Wednesday. The first was 27 minutes long. She pressed play. At first, there was only the soft hiss of ambient sound, the hum of appliances, the tick of the wall clock. Then her voice. Low, monotone. "It doesn't move when I look at it." A pause. "But it's closer when I blink." Her breath sounded shallow. "I think it needed a day." Static crackled faintly. "I think it uses the spaces." The recording cut off abruptly. Mara's hands were ice. She played the second memo. Only 30 seconds. Her voice again, but hoarse, strained. "If you're hearing this on Thursday, don't answer it. Don't acknowledge it." Just trying to make a routine. A faint knock echoed in the background. 3 slow taps. The recording ended. The knock reverberated through her memory, because she had heard that knock before. Tuesday night. She had dismissed it as pipes contracting. Her gaze slid to the apartment door. Silence. The house felt attentive. The wall clock ticked. 7:42 a.m. Tick. 7:43. Tick. The lights in the kitchen flickered. Not a full outage, just a brief dimming like a blink. Her heart lurched. The microwave display shifted. 7:43. Then, slowly, it became 12 o'clock again. The air cooled another degree. Mara's phone vibrated once more. A calendar notification. Event. Today. She didn't remember creating an event. Her thumb hesitated, then tapped it open. The title field was blank. The description read, "Keep it busy." Her lungs felt too small for her ribs. Another line appeared beneath it, typing itself in real time. The starting earlier this time. The seconds on the wall clock began to stutter. Tick, pause, tick tick, pause. Her phone's date flickered. Thursday, Thursday, Thursday. The word shimmered, then blurred at the edges. The microwave beeped sharply, though no buttons had been pressed. 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Mara stood slowly. "No," she whispered. The lights dimmed again, longer this time. When they brightened, the wall calendar near the pantry door rustled faintly. She turned her head inch by inch. Tuesday, blank square. Friday. Her breath left her in a thin, trembling line. There was no Thursday anymore. Her phone buzzed violently in her hand. A new voice memo recording had begun. Timestamp. Friday, 7:44 a.m. Her voice, urgent, panicked, filled the room from the speaker. It doesn't need a full day. It just needs attention. Behind the voice, something else exhaled. Not mechanical. Not human. A slow, patient sound. Her recorded voice continued. "If you can hear this, you already answered it." The hallway mirror creaked softly, as if adjusting in its frame. A shadow stretched along the wall beside it. not cast by any object she could see. The scratch marks on the paint deepened, lengthening slowly downward as though pressed by invisible fingers. Mara felt the clock skip. Not forward, sideways. The moment bent. Her phone screen flickered between Friday and something blank. A square with no name. The house grew impossibly still. Even the refrigerator fell silent. The new day hovered, unfinished. On the phone screen, another line typed itself beneath the recording. Don't look at the calendar. Mara's eyes lifted instinctively toward the wall. The blank square seemed to pulse faintly in the dim light, waiting to be filled. The stranger in the cafe had her exact face. But that came later. The morning began quietly, as mornings always did in Lena's apartment. Measured, deliberate, small. The kettle clicked off at 6:42 a.m., just as it had every weekday for the past year. Pale winter light pressed against the kitchen windows, turning the glass into a soft gray mirror. She stood barefoot on cool tile, listening to the hum of the refrigerator and the distant rumble of buses below. Routine kept the world stable. Coffee, shower, email. A brief scroll through headlines she'd already half absorbed the night before. Her phone lay face up on the counter, screen dark. When she tapped it awake, the lock screen photo, her and her sister at the coast last spring, flickered before settling. For a split second, she thought the image had shifted. The angle seemed tighter, her smile slightly wider. She frowned and unlocked it. No notifications beyond the usual overnight promotions. No missed calls. No emergencies. The date was correct. Tuesday. She exhaled, steadying herself with the familiar weight of normalcy. On her way to the bathroom, she noticed the hallway rug was slightly crooked. She always aligned it with the wall's edge, careful about symmetry. Now the left corner skewed inward by a few inches. She nudged it back into place with her foot. Probably caught it last night, she thought, half asleep. The unease that followed wasn't sharp. It was a thin thread, almost pleasant in its subtlety. The mind searching for pattern where there wasn't one. She brushed her teeth and watched her reflection. Her face was her face. Slightly asymmetrical brows, a faint scar near her chin from childhood. When she blinked, her reflection blinked. Still, she stared a moment longer than necessary. The memory of the cafe rose uninvited. It had been Sunday afternoon. She'd stopped into a small cafe near the river, one she rarely visited, drawn in by the warmth spilling through the windows. The air inside smelled of roasted beans and cinnamon. Milk steamed in rhythmic sighs behind the counter. She had been halfway through her latte when she felt it, the sensation of being studied. Not ogled, not admired, measured. She'd lifted her gaze. Across the room, seated alone by the window, was a woman with her exact face. Not similar, exact. The same hair, dark and cut blunt at the shoulders. The same crescent-shaped scar near the chin. Even the small mole near the left temple. But something in the arrangement was wrong. The stranger's posture was too straight, as though held in place by invisible strings. Her hands rested flat on the table, fingers splayed evenly, unmoving. And her expression, though it mirrored Lena's features, lacked micromovements. No subtle twitch of muscle, no softening around the eyes. When Lena blinked, the woman did not. She continued staring, unblinking, lips curved into a smile that was almost accurate. Lena had frozen, pulse thudding in her ears. The cafe sounds dimmed, as if cotton had been pressed into her hearing. She told herself it was a coincidence, a stranger who happened to resemble her. Then the woman lifted her cup, not to drink, just to hold it midair. And she tilted her head in a gesture Lena recognized from photographs of herself, an unconscious angle she adopted when amused. The wrongness wasn't visual. It was behavioral. The timing. Lena had stood abruptly, chair scraping tile. The stranger's smile widened by a fraction. When Lena reached for her bag, the woman mirrored the movement a beat too late. That delay, like a video call with poor connection. Lena had fled the cafe without finishing her drink. Now, in her quiet bathroom, the memory tightened her chest. She dried her face and returned to the kitchen. Her phone chimed. A text from her coworker, Mira. Hey, did you end up coming back to the cafe yesterday? I swear I saw you again, lol. Lena's fingers hesitated. Yesterday? She typed back. Yeah, around 6. You were at the window seat again. Didn't say hi because you looked busy. Lena stared at the message until the letters blurred. She had been home at 6. She remembered the documentary playing softly, the laundry spinning in the machine. I wasn't there, she replied. A typing bubble appeared. Oh, weird. It was definitely you. The thread ended there. Her stomach felt hollow. She opened her Photos app, scrolling to Sunday. Images of the cafe filled the screen. She had taken a few pictures of the latte art, the golden light through glass. She tapped the first one. The reflection in the window behind her showed her seated alone. She swiped to the next. The reflection showed 2 figures at the table. Her breath hitched. She zoomed in. The second face was slightly blurred, angled toward the camera, eyes open wide. She swiped back. Only 1 figure. Forward again. 2. The timestamp read 3:17 p.m. The next image's timestamp read 3:09 p.m. Out of order. She checked the details. Both claimed to be taken within seconds of each other. A chill slid along her spine. Her phone buzzed again. An email notification. Security alert. Your password was changed successfully. Her pulse spiked. She hadn't changed anything. She opened the account settings. The password had indeed been updated at 11:58 p.m. last night. From her device, she tried to log into her laptop. Access denied. When she reset the password, a secondary verification prompt appeared. Security questions she had never chosen. Mother's birthplace. Answered. First pet's name. Answered. Favorite teacher. Answered. All correct. As if someone had known her long enough to learn them. She glanced around the apartment. The air felt subtly disturbed, as though someone had recently passed through. She walked to the living room. The throw blanket on the couch lay folded differently, crisper, edges aligned. She was messy with it, usually. On the coffee table, her journal rested open. She hadn't written in it since Friday. She approached slowly. The last page contained handwriting that resembled hers but leaned slightly left instead of right. Synchronization takes practice. The ink was still dark, not faded. Her hands trembled as she flipped to the next page. Blank. She rushed to her bedroom. The closet door stood ajar by an inch. She always closed it completely. Inside, her clothes hung evenly, except for one empty space. A black sweater she hadn't worn in months was missing. Her phone chimed again. A new contact had been added. Lena. Profile photo, her face. She opened the thread. One message. You left too quickly. The timestamp. Sunday, 6:03 p.m. She hadn't been at the cafe at 6. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Who is this? She typed. The reply came instantly. You. The typing bubble pulsed again. I'm better at it now. Her heart pounded so hard it blurred her vision. Another message arrived, but not to her. Her sister's name appeared at the top of the screen, indicating a message sent from Lena's number. She opened it in horror. A selfie, taken in her living room. The background unmistakable. The crooked painting near the window, the faint crack in the ceiling she'd meant to fix. In the photo, she stood smiling, wearing the missing black sweater. The caption read, "We should meet again soon." Her sister responded with a heart emoji. Lena's breath came shallow. I'm here, she typed into the unknown thread. 3 dots. I know. A sound drifted from the hallway. A soft shift of fabric. She turned slowly. The bathroom mirror reflected the narrow corridor. Empty. Her phone vibrated once more. A final message from Lena. Don't worry. I'll keep your routines. The front door lock clicked. Not opening. Just engaging. As if someone had turned it from the inside. Her screen lit up with another outgoing message. this time to her coworker. Coffee today at 6? The message sent before she could stop it. And across the darkened glass of the phone screen, her reflection seemed to blink half a second too late.